Fifth.
Now, I've talked many times about the world of Godzilla shared universe that's inevitably coming from Toho and what it might mean for Legendary. Inevitably, the MonsterVerse is going to end, but hopefully not for at least another half-decade. Part of me wants to see another successful round of monster movies from Legendary that continue the saga established in the first phase of the MonsterVerse, while another part of me wants to see Toho take their own stab at the shared Godzilla cinematic universe they teased almost 3 years ago now. Now, I know what you're thinking, both can exist, and part of me agrees. But being realistic, I have to say at some point the MonsterVerse will conclude, and it only makes logical sense for Toho to start turning up the heat on their own World of Godzilla, or WOG, WOG, whatever you want to call it, at that time. So MonsterVerse ends and World of Godzilla begins, or does it? There's always a possibility, however so slightly, that Toho would choose to cross over with Legendary's MonsterVerse or even continue it in their own right. After all, we did see Zilla pop up in Toho's Godzilla Final Wars, and in a day and age of 3 Spider-Men, 2 Flashes, multiple Batmen, the potential for a new Superman coexisting beside Henry Cavill that could very well be Michael B. Jordan, this idea of multiple Godzillas existing at once or even being on screen at once shouldn't be too shocking, and in my opinion, it would be really amazing to see. Just imagine Shin Godzilla alongside the MonsterVerse Godzilla, alongside Toho's new Godzilla coming in the future, or really just any 3 incarnations of Godzilla, or 4 or 5 or whatever they decide to do in this major crossover. It would be a real sight to see. It would certainly make Avengers level money worldwide. It would be Japan's Avengers Endgame and would probably resonate with general audiences here, albeit in a much smaller capacity. But it's something I never thought of until recently, with all this Spider-Man No Way Home hype, but it's an idea worth thinking about that I think a major movie production company like Toho in Japan would consider. Godzilla is a major IP worldwide, and something like a crossover with multiple past incarnations of the G-Man would fuel up hype to new levels in the fandom. A crossover movie spanning the history of previous films with a villain traversing some sort of Godzilla multiverse to wipe out all versions of Godzilla would be an easy billion-dollar movie for Toho, and would exist a perfect opportunity to reach a handout to Legendary and use not only the MonsterVerse Godzilla in a meaningful way, but the other 17 MonsterVerse Kaiju, maybe not all of them, but some of them in some capacity as well. The villain could be a new dark evil version of Godzilla, or perhaps it could be Shin Godzilla as he grows and takes over the universe as originally intended. Maybe he begins to branch out into new dimensions or timelines and must be stopped, or however Toho could choose to explain it, but I think that'd be a pretty cool story. Either way, the Godzillaverse is something I think we need to see happen sooner rather than later, and it's a concept that could bring new life into the world of Godzilla. I feel pretty confidently that as the MonsterVerse winds down, the new Godzilla shared universe will begin to blossom, and it's a perfect time to build towards a larger story. Even if you think the idea of a Godzillaverse story concept like the one I presented is too far-fetched, there's no doubt a larger collective universe with a grand story similar to what we've seen with the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is in the works at Toho with Godzilla and his respective friends and foes. Another idea that's slowly grown on me is this idea of Legendary maybe continuing to make films with Kong and maybe inch away from Godzilla as Toho embraces the G-Man's future. I don't know, but Kong has become quite the character of his own after Godzilla vs. Kong, with him having the bulk of the screen time in the movie. And the way the plot developed around Kong kind of helped to mold him as a character and almost humanize him in a way that the other monsters, including Godzilla, haven't really been humanized or understood on screen. But this is a discussion and a story for, a whole nother video. But, whatever Toho and Legendary work out in the future, the idea of the Godzillaverse and a crossover film with multiple incarnations of Godzilla and maybe even Kong makes me feel like a kid again with excitement, and the potential is certainly endless. But what do you guys think? Is this too far-fetched, or do you think there's real merit to the idea of a Godzilla crossover movie with both Toho and Legendary crossing over? Whatever you think, comment down below. And well, for this video, guys, that's all I got. So until the next one, be safe and stay well. Bye-bye.
The Eternal Fifth.
Imagine, if you will, sitting down to your morning coffee, turning on your home computer to read the day's newspaper. Well, it's not as far-fetched as it may seem. In fact, both local San Francisco papers are investing a lot of money to try and get a service just like that started. Science editor Steve Newman reports on one person already using the brand new system.